Hi there, Duncan here, physiotherapist and owner of Life is Movement. I've had a lot more patients recently come in for more exercise-based therapy and rehab rather than the sort of treatment we do upstairs. So I'm downstairs in the gym, and a question I've had, understandably, from my patients who come in for exercise, more sort of clinical exercise type training is, well, what type of workouts do you do? Which is understandable. I like to think that I practice what I preach. So I thought I would just film one of my strength-based workouts here today. I've got a bit of a gap in my schedule, so I thought I'd sneak one in. I do strength training 3 times a week, full body, and on top of that, I do some cardiovascular activity and jiu-jitsu. And it always follows a similar template. I do something push-based for the lower body, something pull-based for the lower body, and then the same for the upper body, a push and a pull for the upper body. So today for my lower body push, I'll be doing squats. For my lower body pull, I'll be doing glute ham raises on the floor here. For my upper body pull, I'll be doing weighted chin-ups. And for my upper body push, I'll be doing some sort of bench press, either an inclined or a standard bench press, depending on how I feel a bit later. So I thought I'd just film my workout for my patients to get an idea of what I do, to show you that I do exactly the same as what I recommend to my patients. So really important to start with a warm-up. So hopefully I can get into a position where you can see me, perhaps if I come over here. But I always start normally with the lower body push exercise, and I'll be doing squats. So I like to warm up with a little bit of a mobility drill where I come into a nice deep squat and just try and kind of hang out here in this position and get comfortable. And actually, I'm not feeling too bad today. I can get pretty low. And then what I sometimes will do is just a bit of a thoracic and lumbar flexion and extension in this position, just to let the spine know that it can remain pliable and mobile even in that deep squat position. So with full body training, I always say you don't have to be pushing it for strength and hypertrophy in every single exercise. And today, I did quite a hard run yesterday, and I trained full body the day before that. My legs, although they're feeling kind of limber, I don't really feel like pushing it too hard today. So one thing I always preach here at the clinic is you can use your strength training as your mobility work today. So what I'm going to be doing today is squats. I'm going to do them fairly light. I'm not particularly good at squatting, so I don't really lift particularly heavy anyway, but today I'm going to do them nice and light. And I'm just going to be focused on just a weighted stretch. So controlling a nice, reasonable weight, a reasonable light weight through a nice full range of motion. It's not going to be pushing my strength or my hypertrophy, the growth of the muscles of my legs, but it's still a valuable movement practice. Okay, so I'm all warmed up now and ready to start my quote-unquote working sets. For the squat, as you can see, I did the bar. I did a set with 15 on each side. So what's that? 20 plus 2 15s is 50 kilos. Then a set with 70 kilos. And now I'm only going to be using 80 kilos for my working sets. Now, like I said, I'm not a particularly good squatter anyway, but this isn't sort of close enough to my max to really elicit much strength or hypertrophy in the rep range I'm going to do. I'm just going to do 5 repetitions. But I'm doing this not for that purpose today. I'm doing this to maintain and maybe even improve the mobility of my squat pattern. So it's a common misconception that people have that in order to increase your mobility, you have to do specific mobility. You have to do yoga classes or like lots of funny joint mobilizations and things like that. Look, I'm not against those, and I sometimes do them myself. But what I'm looking for, and what a lot of my patients are looking for, is time efficiency. And I'm showing you 2 things today that can really maximize time efficiency. First thing is doing full body workouts, supersetting between sort of unrelated exercises, and that'll become more clear in a moment. And secondly, it's using the strength training as the mobility training. So the example of that in the squat is I'm going to be going nice and deep and having a little pause at the bottom. So I just get really, really comfortable in that deep squat position, just like this. So that was my first set of squats. I'm going to do 3 sets of 5 repetitions. If I were focusing on strength and sort of a bit of muscular mass hypertrophy gains, I'd be using a heavier weight. But today, focusing on mobility, nice and easy, just 3 sets of 5. And then I'm going to do a finisher set, which I'll explain in a moment. Now, time efficiency. Now that I'm doing my working set of squats, in the rest period for this exercise, between the sets, I'm going to be warming up my upper body for my first upper body exercise, which is going to be weighted chin-ups. So there you go. So instead of sort of just standing around, scrolling my phone now, I realize the irony, I'm sort of wasting time talking on the phone, but hopefully it's going to be valuable for some people. But while you're resting the lower body, you can start to warm up the upper body. Now, I always start with the lock 3 routine. Okay, so that definitely helped a lot. Now my upper back, my shoulders, they're really feeling ready to go. Okay, so my first warm-up set for chin-ups is just going to be with body weight. I'll be doing weighted chin-ups today, the same pattern as with the squat, 3 sets of 5, followed by a finisher set. With this one, I feel like pushing it today. So I'm going to do what for me is quite a heavy weight. Probably I'll add an additional sort of 11 or 12 kilos or something like that to my body weight for the chin-ups. Now, really important, I'm also using my chin-ups, even though I'm going to be going heavy today, to improve my range of motion. And as you can see, when I come down, I come into a full hang. I can't get any lower than this. My shoulders are in full flexion. And that's really important. Getting strong along that full range of motion. No half reps where you sort of come up and then sort of come down and then back up. None of that. All the way down, all the way up. So I'm quite a heavy guy. I'm about 102, 103 kilos as of this morning. I'm a bit taller than average, about 6'2.5", 6'3", depending on what my hair's doing. So chin-ups are quite hard for me. I've had to really work to build them up. But I know, like, look, if you're a massive hench dude, or perhaps quite overweight, overly fat, they are going to be really, really difficult. But I say most guys, it's a really meaningful goal to be able to work towards. And girls too. I've taught many female patients how to do pull-ups. It can take some time and there's a process to it. But it's a really wonderful milestone to be able to control your body in that direction. And it is a strength that can carry over functionally to carrying objects, doing things like carrying children, pulling things towards you. And then a lot of fun activities, I spend a lot of time in children's playgrounds, not for nefarious reasons. I have children of my own. And, being able to just, if my daughter needs me to come help her right at the top of the playground, climbing up and getting up there is no problem for me. And that's really, really nice. I feel like I earned that through the struggle and effort I put into being able to control my own body weight. So we're really into the workout now. I've warmed up my lower body and done 3 working sets for the squat, the lower body push. And I've warmed up my upper body for the pull position. So now I'm into my first working set of weighted chin-ups. As you can see, I use a sort of belt here, and I've got 11.25 additional kilos. I really advocate, particularly for older trainers, slow progression. I know it's boring, but small change over time leads to meaningful differences. It's quite amazing the amount of people you see working out year in, year out. And, year 1, they're benching, they build up to a 80 kilo bench press. And year 3, they're still benching that same 80 kilos. I think when people do things wrongly, they have to take time out, they get injured, blah, blah, blah. And people end up really spinning their wheels. So slow change, small change over time. Last session I did 11 kilos. Now I'm doing 11.25 kilos. So nice and slow, but a year from now, I might be doing double that, 25 kilos, even 30 kilos. The tendons and ligaments heal and sort of strengthen more slowly than the nervous system and the actual muscles themselves. So for older trainers, I always say, progress at the speed of the slowest developing thing, which for most people is the ligaments and tendons, particularly the ligaments. So, even if you could lift more in terms of your muscles and your nervous system, if your ligaments and tendons aren't ready, it's a recipe for injury. So nice and slow, tortoise in the hare. Tortoise in the hare? That's the story, right? Be the tortoise, but you'll get there in time. Hopefully you notice that even on my, what for me is a heavy set, I still use that same full range of motion, all the way up to the top and all the way to a dead hang at the bottom. Okay, so because for my sort of big lifts, big barbell compound lifts, weighted chin-ups, squats, GHRs, things like that, because I like to do this sort of 3 sets of 5 protocol, I find that it just feels good. I'll make a video of why I like it. If I really wanted to push things, strength, and particularly in terms of hypertrophy, like getting a bit sort of bigger, a bit more developing of lean muscle tissue, it's not a huge amount of volume, even if you're pushing it hard. So I like to do like a finisher set at the end. And for squats, I like to really drop the weight. I've dropped down all the way to 60 kilos and do a finisher set. So I'm going to do 20 repetitions with this weight. And this will be, for me, challenging. I know for a lot of people, this would be nothing to do 20 repetitions. But for me, this would be a challenge. So what you'll probably notice, even though I'll likely fast forward it, you'll notice that, I might do a few reps and then rest, catch my breath, and knock them out the park. But I use the standing position, take a few breaths, rest, recompose myself, catch my breath, and then knock them out. And I find doing a nice 20 rep set at the end is a really nice finisher and does really well, goes really well for me. Okay, so as you can hear from my breath, quite out of breath, 20 reps of squats with what for you is some sort of meaningful weight. It won't be near your max, but it really can tax the cardiovascular system. And, in terms of time-saving activities, not only can you incorporate mobility into your strength training, but if you want, you can incorporate cardiovascular into your strength training. Now, it's not really my focus at the moment because I have time to do all the cardiovascular stuff. I'm doing quite a lot of running and assault bike and things like that, and jiu-jitsu, obviously. But if you're really pressed for time, my patients who are really pressed for time, busy, successful people, we will do an entire workout sort of along the lines of that set. So you do a nice high rep set, but with a meaningful weight, rest 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then we'll jump straight onto a superset of an unrelated exercise. So this is a perfect example. Squats and chin-ups, there's very, very little overlap. The squats work the legs, core, so forth. The chin-ups work the musculature of the pulling muscles of the upper body. Obviously the lats, the rhomboids, the upper back, traps, biceps, things like that, the grip strength. Largely unrelated exercises. So one of the best tips I can give people who are busy, who think they have no time to exercise, is a well programmed, tailored workout program that looks like strength training with a few tweaks, using full range of motion and incorporating these unrelated supersets. You can also get your mobility and your cardio into the workout. And that's, for me, that's, ding, ding, ding. That's the sort of goal right there. So, if you do come to Life is Movement, you're short on time, I can get you fantastic results with just 2 workouts a week of strength training here at the clinic. along those lines. And it works really, really well. It'll be hard. It'll be one of the hardest hours of your life, 45 minutes to an hour of your life for that week, but the results will be spectacular. Okay, second set of working chin-ups. Okay, so now I've warmed up my bench press bar. I did 60 kilos, 80 kilos. And now the bench press is set up for incline on 90 kilos. We're going to be doing again that same pattern, 3 sets of 5 and then a finisher. Look, I realized 90 kilos, I don't think I'm a terrible bench presser. I realized compared to things you will see on social media, incredible feats of strength, benching 90 kilos is nothing, but you know, I think this is the difference between social media and reality. If you go into your standard commercial gym today, you won't see that many guys, that many people, incline benching this much weight with control, with good form, and so forth. So, you know, a piece of advice I give my patients is, you know, don't worry about what you see on social media. That obviously filters for just the most incredible outliers, and it just gives people a really distorted idea of what you need to achieve. Just find out what you can do today and try to do a little bit more tomorrow. For me, 90 kilos, 3 sets of 5, it will be a real challenge. So if it's a challenge for me, it doesn't matter if it, you know, sucks compared to someone else, as long as it's challenging for me. And I'd say the same to you for your workouts. Before I do that first set, I'm gonna do my final set of heavy weighted chin-ups. On the bench press, once again, as a time-saving thing, I obviously advocate for use whatever grip is most comfortable for you. However, if a slightly closer grip is comfortable for you, I recommend using that, again, as a time-saving thing. If you bring the arms in a little bit, you will get a little bit more supplementary tricep work. And, you know, I don't like training my arms. I just find that profoundly boring. So I just really don't do it. So but you know, it is important to train your arms as well as your chest and back and so forth. So I try to sneak my arm work into my big lifts. So a slightly closer grip on the bench press can help with the triceps. And using that chin-up grip, you know, the palms facing towards you, we call it a supinated grip, can give you a little bit more bicep work on the chin-up. So you'll see I don't do any direct arm work at all. And like, you know, once again, nothing to write home about. I'm not a bodybuilder, but I don't have small arms. It's not my problem. You know, I don't think, I'm not exactly turning heads, but it's fine. My arms are plenty strong. They fill out a t-shirt. For me, middle-aged man, children, business, that's all I care about. So yeah, just a little tip there. You'll notice with the bench press, again, I do a few things that make the exercise mechanically disadvantageous, which is actually what I want at my age. You'll notice as I really control the descent, the eccentric portion of the rep while I'm lowering the bar. I actually rest it in that position for a moment, not even a second, but I want to lose the momentum so then I have to use my strength to push the bar back up. I don't want to be doing any bouncing. I'm not saying that's bad. If you like doing that, that's totally fine. But for me, if I were to sort of just drop the bar and bounce it off my chest, I would have to use more weight. And at this point in my training, I like to use as little weight as possible to get the right stimulus. And doing things like pausing on the chest, like I do with the squats, pausing in that deep squat position. Not only is it good for mobility, but it means you have to use less weight, which for me is a good thing. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I just want to stay healthy, fit, and strong for as long as possible. So for my upper body pull finisher, I like to do just a set of bodyweight pull-ups. I have a goal, hopefully by the end of the year, of being able to do about 20, which I think, you know, for a guy my age, my weight, is pretty good. So, 20 strict pull-ups, not sort of CrossFit style, what do they call them, butterfly pull-ups or something. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not what I want to do. So I think last workout I managed to get like 12 or 13. So I'm going to try to match that or beat it this time. So let's see if we can get 14. So I think I managed to get 14. Some of the time I tend to lose count when I'm getting a bit tired. Let me know if I only got 13, but I'm pretty happy with that. Making good progress there. And once again, you can hear from that high rep set, I'm quite out of breath. So you can imagine if you were doing only that style of training, going from high rep squats to high rep pull-ups, things like that, you would, with little rest time, you could have massive improvements in your cardiovascular fitness through your strength training. It'll be hard. It'll take some getting used to, but for busy people who, don't own their own personal gym like I do, who, it takes time, you got to get to the gym, change, shower, all that kind of stuff. This is a great way to exercise. Okay, the final strength exercise of the day, which is one you might not see all the time, although it's becoming more common, is the glute ham raise, which I do on this little machine on the floor. Just going to lower the camera a little bit. Works the posterior chain. Glutes, hamstrings, a little bit of calves, a little bit of lower back, isometrically. And I love it. I love it. Particularly when I had back problems. I had really weak posterior chain, particularly hamstrings. And this, I would credit a lot of my development and movement away from the symptoms of that injury to developing the strength of my posterior chain through this exercise. When I first did this exercise, I couldn't even do a single rep with my body weight. And now I do it weighted, as you'll see. But I'm just going to do one just warm-up set with my body weight, just to make sure I'm ready to go. Again, same protocol for this exercise. I'm going to do 3 sets of 5 and then a finisher. You can tell I quite like this protocol. So for my finisher set of bench press, whether it's incline like this or just a flat bench press, I like to do what's called a 10 plus set. So I dropped the weight, as you can see, to about 80 kilos. So, greater than 10% drop. Maybe I should have dropped a bit more given how I felt from that last set, but it's fine. And basically what I do is I stick with this weight as my finisher until I can get more than 10 repetitions. And then if I got 11 reps, 12 reps, 13, whatever, next session, I would do the minimal jump possible and do the same thing. So actually I have fractional plates here. I have 250 gram plates. So I would actually go up to 80.5 kilos and do the exact same thing, and so on and so on and so on. So if you were counting, I only managed 10 reps on that set. So that means I'll stay with this weight at the next workout as my finisher set. And hopefully next time I may be able to get more than 10. And yeah, as I said, more than 10, I'll go up by the minimum increment possible. So that's bench press done. This is an opportunity now to do what I might call weak point training. And that could be a weak point because you have an injury to that part of your body that needs a bit more work, or it might just be aesthetic. Maybe you just think, oh, do you know what? I just want slightly bigger biceps. And if that's the case, of course, you're welcome to do some specific bicep work. And many of our patients do have goals of that nature, and that's totally fine. But I would say get the core of your workout done, the stuff that really improves your overall strength, mobility, and fitness in a functional way. I know people hate that word. And then fine, then do your bicep curls, your tricep work, calf work, something that I need to do. So you'll see, actually what I'm just gonna do now is one sort of big set of full range of motion Lou raises for the shoulder. This is because I think having big shoulders looks pretty cool. And also I have had quite a significant shoulder injury, which I'm really happy with the progress of it, but I'm still in the process of rehabbing. As you can see, like I'm not benching as much as I used to and things like that. I do it as both a sort of hypertrophy bodybuilding style exercise, but also to make sure the rehab that I've done is maintained. So I'm just going to show you that now. So what I'm going to try to do here is what we call a bit of a double drop set. So the starting weight I've got 2 5-kilo plates and 2 1.25 kilo plates. And I'm going to do as many reps as I can with that weight. And I'm just going to drop to the 5s and do as many as I can with that weight. And then I'll probably go to either the 4s or the 2.5s and just finish off. So sort of 2 drops of weight, just as a real finisher for the shoulders. So it's feeling a little heavy today, but let's give it a go. Oh. Okay, final set of the day. Just a finisher for these glute ham raises. A set of body weight to failure. Hopefully I won't break my nose by hitting it on the floor. Hey, done. Again, as you can see with the finisher, pretty out of breath. I think I got about 13 reps, which is good for me. So that's it. That's the whole workout. Basic template. 2 lower body exercises, 1 push, 1 pull. 2 upper body exercises, 1 push, 1 pull. That's all you need. As long as you're going with sufficient intensity and volume. For bonus points, you will work in your mobility training with your strength training, as I showed some tips for that today. And if you want, you can also integrate your cardiovascular training with your strength training, which a lot of people do want that. We're all very short on time. I wasn't really doing that today. That's not my priority at the moment. And also, I have the luxury of time because I obviously own a gym. I can sneak in my workouts in my lunch break. That whole workout I did today, I'm exhausted, so a really good workout. It took me about an hour, which is a little bit long. I think if I wasn't sort of waffling on, it would have taken maybe 45, 50 minutes. But if I was really pressed on time, I could do it in that superset fashion, higher reps, go, 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 with lighter weights. I could have done that in half an hour if I were really pushing it, and you can too. So yeah, I hope that's useful. I'm going to film more of these videos for my patients to get an idea of, how to train, some of the principles I use. But yeah, to show my patients, I practice what I preach. The way I show you guys how to train is exactly what I do. We just scale the exercises and the intensity and so forth to fit your fitness level and your goals. I hope you found that useful. If you are interested in coming to the clinic to train, www.lifeismovementclinic.com. I'd love to help you. Take care.